Wake up, buyer payer people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhoads on the Buy Here Pay Here Morning Show. Take it away, you two.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning from Utah. Welcome to the morning show on a Friday.
It is Friday.
More talk about data, about repo data today.
Yeah.
And I had to postpone a V8 meeting last night because we had...
People were busy, yeah.
Well, yeah, we had people, football games for the kids and some of that stuff. So we had to reschedule one for next week, but it worked out. We got two groups of each size now, so people can float and attend the other. And that's part of why we had people attending the other group because of conflicts last night. And so anyway, we just had to reschedule. But I've got together some data today for this conversation and got updated repo data through August. And I just picked, some key indicators. So poor Michelle's not well this morning. She's feeling a little sick to her stomach. So she's being a trooper and showing up for the morning show. She's being a champion.
Poor her.
Yeah. No. No, she's not feeling well, but I could have tried to kick off the show on my own. It's just I'm going to botch the buttons every time. I'm so clumsy with that.
There's an old adage I remember my dad saying is if you don't want to end up cleaning the toilets, don't do a good job.
Oh yeah.
So it's like a military thing. If you peel potatoes really well, you're going to end up on peeling potato duty. So and I'm cool with that because I'm happy to help.
And you're glad to be here, right?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Even with a sick stomach.
Nia,
so
good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Glad to have you here. Got just got that information pulled together, and we're reaching out to a few guests for upcoming weeks, and so things will be a little fluid for us for the coming weeks, but we'll be.
And next week I will be out of town.
Yeah.
So for a couple of weeks I'll be in Guyman, and Jim will be here in our home.
People don't know where Guyman is.
Guyman, Oklahoma.
Yeah, little town in Western Oklahoma.
It's where White Hat Way was. It's
inspired.
Like its roots.
Yeah, I would say that's the inspiration or the original kind of motivations, inspiration for me. The White Hat Cowboys of Western Oklahoma. Anyway, shall we get into our stuff?
Absolutely.
And we probably won't keep folks here long today. Just have a couple of data points to discuss and kind of a follow-on to our conversation from Wednesday. For those who didn't participate on Wednesday, we introduced 3 indicators that we would recommend from a White Hat perspective to be able to track. And so I brought back 2 of those 3 today with specific results through the month of August, because what we're seeing, there's a lot of chatter out there about, heavy charge-offs.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of wanted to cut through the chatter and the opinions and the kind of just broad, conversation and bring something as precise as we possibly could to the conversation, as is my approach. And so we just I gathered up 2. Let me share with you the first one. The first data point that I picked is an easy one to kind of understand, and that's this one about P&I collected per active account.
Active account.
Yeah.
So what you still got people making payments on your
and this is the one that I said, this is a simple napkin thing. You don't need a sophisticated software. You just need a piece of paper, write down, look it up on your software, how much principal and interest did we collect and put in the bank last month, in the month of August in this case, and then divide that by the number of accounts that you had in the portfolio at the beginning of August.
Okay.
And so when you have that on the board, because one of the things we talked about Wednesday is let's make this part of our culture, tracking this kind of stuff, showing those numbers, everybody make it visible for the team to see kind of how we're doing with those numbers. And the numbers were pretty sobering when I got in there and looked at that for this. So what I chose to look at, because any of these kind of numbers, when you look at them on a single month, it can be up or down based on the number.
That's why the more data we collect and we can string together is it's better to like year over year,
right?
And your average 3, 6, whatever months that you're rolling?
Yeah. So the bottom line is when I look at that number, that's a simple number to be able to get to. I would look at it on a look at your own trending, like look at the number each month. And then what I'm working from here is I think I end up with a 3-month rolling average for P&I collected. So let me share with you what we had on that. When we look at principal and interest collected per active account, of the 21 dealers that I could get valid data across the full range and who had submitted, we just, by the time I filtered out, kind of invaluable data or data that wasn't going to be useful.
Yeah.
Okay. In this case, I end up with 21 dealers. So out of those 21, 18 of them showed a decrease in their 3-month rolling average through August.
That's substantial.
It just says to me in a pretty simple way that we're still hurting in terms of the decrease across the average of all those was less than 1%.
But it
still says that across a 3-month period ending August, the amount of money that we banked per account was down versus the 3-month period ending July.
Okay.
So this is just my way of saying, are we coming out of it? Or has it stabilized? Are we still experiencing charge-off? This one isn't exactly charge-offs, but I think we can conclude that when we're collecting less money per the account in the portfolio, that's going to show up in delinquency. That's probably going to show, we're basically getting a snapshot at why would we be short? Well, we either left customers unpaid or we had customers unpaid and they charged off. I mean, it could be any combination, but we're simply looking at how much did we bank compared to in P&I compared to, the number of accounts in the portfolio. So it's just one indicator.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I went back to this collateral recovery rate. We are starting to look at collateral recovery rate in our group. Some of our groups are going to be shocked next week when they see the numbers. Now that we're measuring collateral recovery rate, it's really, it's a strong indicator of disparity between our members. And I think it's going to be a good conversation point. We have other metrics that we track that would give, an insight into the same kind of calculations. But, one of our members, Jeff Owings, people have seen Jeff speak on the Success Group. He kind of gets out and, I'm sorry.
Nothing.
So he gets out and has made some, and he's a guy who's been in business 40 years. And so when Jeff was speaking about that, he made the case that, we should all be tracking collateral recovery rate. And so I went back and just fished out the formula that we had. And I didn't use it at the beginning because we just couldn't ever seem to get everybody on the same page about the formula. But we've used the formula that seems to be valid. And the bottom line is I put it on the screen here, the CRR calculation, collateral recovery rate, is in my definition. This is my own kind of, simplifying the language for the typical dealer saying, principal banked, including repos. Like I treat repos as though it's principal. And why? Well, because it's money that the portfolio is yielding in cash. We can make at least as a cash credit to inventory, right? So we take the principal that we collect and and that includes repos, and we divide that by the total decrease in the portfolio in that period. Okay. So that's basically that measurement. And I put a star in there, a couple of stars, because there are a couple of things you have to allow for. You're going to have to take out your amount financed because the dealer might look at that and say, well, my portfolio was actually up. There wasn't a decrease. Well, that's because you haven't taken out your new contracts that you added to the portfolio. If you take out the contracts that you added, and then you would need to make any adjustments for contracts that you acquired or sold. Small percentage of our dealers do that, but just remember, you're looking at just decrease of principal in the portfolio after you make those adjustments, and you compare that. And so when I looked at that number, I looked again at a 3-month rolling average on that one, and through August, 13 of the 21 dealers had decreased in that number. Right. So again, it's kind of a broad indicator of portfolio performance, portfolio yield, but it's valid data. It's information that we confirm and do a soft reconciliation. I'll remind, we try to get plus or minus 1% on the portfolio movement. And so it's a small pool, but it's a real pool. And it's, when I say there's 21 dealers in this pool, that's 21 more dealers to compare to than, somebody who's not involved in 20 group.
And this is also 21 dealers that have had their data verified and validated.
Uh-huh.
And so, we watch the chatter
Yeah.
on social. There's none of that. This is just a lot of times, dealers looking at from their perspective, like you said, you've had some challenges with, all right, dealers, CRR, what is that? I mean, how do you arrive at that? And so this is using the same metrics across the board, which is helpful because, that's 20 groups, V8, whatever dealer peer groups. It's good to really valuable to have everyone on the same formula.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
And that it's validated.
Yeah, and then you start to stack that up as a trend over many months. And some of our members have data back to January 2024, and so we're able to sweep that kind of information. One thing I didn't say about the P&I per active account is, when you look at that number and you think about, what does it represent in terms of our, so I try not to look at a single month. Like we have the August number, but rather than come in and say August was up or down versus July, any given month, we can expect in the numbers we're talking about here, you could see some swings. And so that's why I try to look at least a 3-month rolling average. When it's available, we'll go back and look at a 6-month rolling average instead, because, I don't like to be too reactive. I think any 1 month can be, but a number like this, the P&I collected per active account, you might want to, if you're putting it on your whiteboard, I would typically put, for example, the number of Fridays that occur in a month, in a calendar month, will move that number. Because if you have more Fridays, you're probably going to collect more in that month. So, but again, when you
little nuances,
but you take that out of there. When you move to a 3-month rolling average, you're going to have pretty good, trending to work from, and not you get so worked up if you came up a little bit short on a given month.
And when you do the 3-month, it does. Sometimes we like to really celebrate this was the best month, and great. And then the next month is low. And so it's like, is it the worst month ever? But when you average it out, it's like, how are we doing overall? Because our contracts they're 3-year contracts. Yeah. So and not a single month.
And I could say I don't have much else here. We can wind down a little early. I think what I'd like to do in our coming weeks here, and we're kind of saving Fridays back for continue this conversation and kind of keeping an update on what we're seeing in our own data. And then I would say that I'd like to bring back around the conversation about collection efficiency. We discussed that in one of our B8 group meetings earlier in the month, and there's an appetite for that. There's a need currently for us to start looking at collection efficiency. And just
you've been doing that for clients for how long?
10 plus years. I started really tracking that in a different way 20 years ago. So it's a number that just quick information. And I would invite people to come back and be part of that conversation, because I think in times like this, it's even more important, because what that number does is it sort of moves past any delinquency and recency numbers. Not that those won't still mean something, but when you can move past that and look at collection efficiency, then you start to really look at how much are we cooperating with customers. That's a pretty good measurement of how much are we cooperating with customers and getting the money in the bank, even if the delinquency's up and down, even if the month had, short, fewer Fridays and any of those it takes out some of those humps and just looks at how well are we cooperating with customers, and is that trending up or down?
Yeah. Right? I do appreciate the way that you look at data is not reactionary. It's taking all the emotion out and let's level it out and let's look at, because we're always talking long game, and 3 months is not necessarily a long game, but it is when you're looking at data. You're leveling it out. So I really
and being
appreciate
reactive
that.
in terms of management has its own set of problems. Like if let me be that manager. Let's say I'm a general manager of a store and I look up and my collected per account is down, in the month of August. Well, if I didn't look at a 3-month rolling average, I might say, well, we're way down. Well, maybe I didn't consider those Fridays. And so now what I do, I go meet with the team and say, well, these numbers are terrible. We got to get to work and get these accounts up. So and maybe I'm feeling pressure. Maybe I'm a dealer and I'm feeling pressure on my borrowing base. And so I'm going to go to the team. We got to get these numbers up. Well, if you look at it on a more longer range trending, maybe the numbers are just fine. They're just right where they typically are. So we got to be careful about not being too reactive, because when we react, we put pressure on the team puts pressure on the customers. And what these numbers are suggesting to me is our customers are already feeling a certain amount of pressure. And if we push too hard, they're going to fold. And so I think this is what we got to be careful not to overreact. And so, that's my nature anyway. But I think, when you're playing a long game and you're working with customers and you're kind of helping them through whatever's going on, I'm not going to be surprised to see delinquency run a little high at times. I'm not going to be surprised to see our P&I collected, on a given month be a little bit short, and so I just think we got to watch these things in a more, long range trending. And then I hope that the data that we shared here today gives folks an indication, like, is it just me? Is it just my market? Like, is it? And so that's one of the fun things about VA, is to be able to sit in a room with dealers from different pockets of the country, and they can describe what it is that they're experiencing in their market, conversations with customers, situation in their local economy. And I think that gives people some perspective, and it helps them from being too reactive, thinking it's just me, right? Yeah. Or it's just something of that nature. So this is why we want to continue to bring this kind of information.
And we realize it's money and it's your business, and you want to make sure that you're profitable. I mean, of course, we are in a really interesting economy,
right?
And I would encourage everyone out there listening, and I brought this up Wednesday, I think, something that Russell Moore talked to us about, and his wife mentioned, he was stressing about his borrowing, or his capital provider, and just feeling some pinch there. And she's like, that's that a dealer's going to ask for grace from their capital providers, and that it can make or break, because it's rough. Well, our customers have an even harder, their experience compared to ours is very different. And the numbers, they back that up. I mean, it backs that up. Their experience is harder than ours.
Yeah.
That they have less money a month,
right?
And more bills than they did during COVID.
Yeah.
Way more.
Yeah.
Or way less. And a lot of things have jumped, and yet we are experiencing something that we helped contribute to, because we were like, well, we're going to charge, or expand the amount, and we're seeing buy here, pay here. I would say 10 years ago, no one would have ever dreamed of having a $600 a month payment.
Yeah.
And their experience 10 years ago is not that different. So how are we showing grace? This is a long game. Brent Carmichael teaches collect the cash, not the car, even if it comes over a longer period of time, or you figure out some way of being able to help, however we can help our customers be able to be successful in their loan, even if they're a little bit late.
Yeah.
Help them be successful.
Well,
that's so paramount.
Yeah. You raised something that, thinking back to that Russell Moore, and I don't remember Russell's particular, I remember that conversation, but I don't remember the particulars about what was happening with Russell, or if it was even him or another dealer. But the bottom line is, I got a call from a dealer. It's clear that from a lot of the conversations I'm having with dealers is lenders are either pulling back if they're maybe not stepping in to provide new financing with certain dealers, not increasing their lines, whatever. And then they're also applying some pressure. Like I'm hearing from some dealers who are feeling some pressure from their lenders, and they're as a result, some of them are exploring, alternative financing, and the truth is there's not a lot there right now. So we're in a kind of contraction period with capital. People are, not having now there are exceptions. I will say that we're familiar with lenders who are stepping in. I think they're still going to be conservative, and rightfully so at a period like this. But there are some exceptions, and it kind of goes back to what you've heard us talk about recently. We're going to continue to talk about dealers who have the best chance of getting additional funding at some sort of favorable terms are going to be the ones who have their ducks in a row in terms of their data. They know their own data.
Matters.
They know their own metrics, their financials, all the stuff. And so this kind of stuff that we're tracking is going to be beneficial to those dealers. They can certainly leverage their V8 data alone in conversations with lenders, because we've got a ton of stuff in there.
And most of your banks or lenders that are just kind of dipping their toe and trying to step in are not as familiar with how the pieces move.
That's right.
And so if you can show that and trend that, and it's like, this is during the hardest times you saw, if you could sit down with a capital provider, bank, whatever, and say, when the economy was experiencing this is what we did.
Yeah.
And that's really helpful. And the more data you have where you can see that, where a financial institution can see the trends and how you weathered the trends.
Good point.
And
what strategies you've invoked.
Exactly.
That's something else we're doing with V8, is starting to build in a layer of strategy and accountability sessions, so that, that's something in a 90-minute, virtual meeting with 8 dealers. You can't get too
That's
far.
why they
in
do
terms
the plus.
you do the kind of the premium stuff. So it's just a quick mention for those dealers who are out there who haven't reached out to us about V8. We'd love to have you in a V8 dealer group. They're under $200 a month, and it's just a really great solution for
meeting monthly, having conversations. The V8 Plus, which there's extra meetings where it's like diving into a conversation, not just around the number. That's $199 right now. And the home group is $159.
We did one earlier in the week on increasing cash flow, and then next week we do kind of wealth management and wealth building.
And I'm like, you can drop $199 on a good dinner.
Yeah, you can. I probably wouldn't, but yeah.
But if you're getting a bottle of wine, you probably are. So it's really interesting when you can like start to compare things like that it's 109, but then I just look at your cable bill.
Good point. No, we do. We want to see dealers get part of our V8 groups. This is good value. You can talk to some of our members and hear kind of what they're getting from it, and we're finding, irrespective of portfolio size, that it's a good.
And then you do at the end of every month, the last Tuesday, the last Monday, the last Monday of every month it's anyone can come.
I think that's a week from Monday. So we're doing the discovery, just an open discovery meeting where we kind of walk through the data points and
kind of get an idea
give people a feel for what the format is and how we turned their simple data into something more valuable. And so we do that on the last Monday. So if you want an invitation to that, we're happy to extend an invitation.
Together. It's not a V8 group that anything we've talked about. Please feel free to reach out. It's 903-816-0216, 903-816-0216. It is if you need to get an RFC created too before the end of the year.
Let's get on with that. If you folks are out there.
It's yesterday. So if that's something that you need some assistance in doing, please reach out to the phone number I just provided, or Jim at White Hat Way, and let's get that started.
WhiteHatWay.com.
WhiteHatWay.com. Thank you. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining. Have a happy and fun and whatever weekend, and lots of college and high school football.
Football.
See y'all later. Thanks, guys.